Yes, Game Time Live. I am Pep Fernandez, and we have a great show in store for you. CIF semifinals. So whoever wins tonight on this Friday would move on to the CIF Championship games next week. Let's start in the Inland Division. A lot of people were bracing for that huge Vista Murrieta versus Centennial championship rematch. But both the Broncos and the Huskies had to win tonight in the semifinals to punch their ticket to the CIF championship games. We'll start with Centennial. They were hosting Upland. All right, Mike, let's go ahead and roll the video from out there at the Evil Empire, they call themselves. There's head coach Matt Logan wearing his shorts as usual. That's par for the course for Matt Logan, even though we're deep into the season. It gets a little chilly out there, but not tonight. It was actually nice out there. Early in this one, Centennial's first drive of the game, Robert Weber to Devontae McNeely. He goes in for the touchdown, and Centennial goes on top 7-zip. Later in the opening frame, it's Upland's quarterback, Nate Romine, to Anthony Romero, just flings it up, and there's Romero all by himself for the touchdown, ties the game at 7 apiece. Later in the first quarter, it's Austin Rankin getting the call, gets in there, and it's 14-7 Centennial. Still in the first, Weber to Chase Cravache. He's going to do the rest down the sideline, cuts back in, and he will go in for the touchdown. They add the 2-point conversion, and Centennial goes on top 22-7. Now in the second quarter, Gavin Andrews coming up with the interception for Centennial. Now that they got the ball and they're playing some good defense later on another Upland drive, that's Mequan Johnson and Jalen Johnson coming up with the stop. Upland in the red zone, going for the paint, but there is John Plattenberg coming up with the interception. He would take it back to the 15, but it would be called back on a penalty after the catch. But Upland would repay the favor with their own interception. Nafe Lokotui, the interception for the Highlanders. That sets up Tyler Bratton for a touchdown. And then later in the second quarter, Bratton would add on a second touchdown there. That made it 22-21 on that touchdown here at the half. But Centennial goes on to defeat Upland by a final score of 46-36. So back here live in the studio, Centennial is moving on with that 10-point victory against Upland. Now, could Vista Murrieta, the undefeated Broncos, keep their end of the bargain and also reach the CIF championship game? All right, Mike, let's go ahead and crank up the Inland Division scoreboard and take a look at the scores in just a moment. We'll tell you that Vista Murrieta was taking on Rancho Cucamonga tonight. All right, now let's go to the scoreboard and check out what happened. There was the game we're just talking about. Centennial, a 10-point winner against Upland, 46-36. So the Huskies are moving on. They're in the championship game, and they will face, let's go to the Vista Murrieta score. Vista Murrieta is a winner against Rancho Cucamonga. Final score of 34-0. So we knew Rancho Cucamonga had a great defense, but Vista Murrieta might be even better. If we can go back to the Vista Murrieta score for just a moment, we have Chris Erkley standing by. He's editing video highlights of this game. He'll join us in just a couple minutes, and he'll break it all down. We'll even have bonus highlights of this Vista Murrieta versus Rancho Cucamonga game on the Saturday Scouting Report. So please join us tomorrow on Saturday for even more from Vista Murrieta's big win against Rancho Cucamonga, 34-0. So it will be Vista Murrieta and Centennial playing for the CIF championship game, and I believe that will be at Vista Murrieta next Friday. All right, back here live in the studio. Now we're moving on to the Central Division, where we find ourselves at the Heritage versus Kaiser game. The Patriots at home and looking to punch their ticket to the finals. But Kaiser had other plans. We knew the Cats had a great defense, but would it be enough to slow down all those weapons at Heritage? All right, Mike, let's go ahead and roll that video. Heritage hosting Kaiser. H-Town, they call it out there for the Patriots. All right, we're going to pick this one up in the second half. That's Desmond Ferreira for the Cats, moving the chains with a nice run there. Later on that same drive, it's Marquette Washington. Oh, in just a moment. But first, how about number 2, the quarterback there, Padilla. He's going to break off a long run deep into Heritage territory, and that would set up Marquette Washington. He goes in for the touchdown here. And Kaiser, it was tied at 7. Now Kaiser takes the lead. Look at the guy in the crutches in the background going nuts. 13-7, Kaiser on top. Then Matt Bradshaw for Heritage trying to get his team going. Nice run there for the Patriots. But later on that drive, Bradshaw drops back, lets it fly. And here comes Ray Vera, number 8, coming up with the interception for Kaiser. Now later, Heritage facing 4th down. They're going for the end zone here, but Wesley Lewis breaks it up in the paint to keep Heritage off the scoreboard. Kaiser trying to run out the clock. They say there might be a fumble on this play. Number 11 takes it back to the house. The referees try to sort it out. They say it is not a touchdown. It was not a fumble. Kaiser was down. So there was no score. There was some controversy there. So Heritage down to their last play, still trailing by 6. They pass the ball to Marvin Hefo. Hefo rips off a long run, but it's not enough as Kaiser hangs on to win 13-7. The Cats are headed to the championship game. Let's go ahead and crank up the Nats mic, and we'll hear from Coach Zelaya in just a second.
So can you just tell me how Kaiser pulled off the victory today?
Hey, we played together as a football team. That's what we've had to do, for 3 weeks in a row and throughout the whole football season. You got to be a little bit lucky in these type of games. I felt we had a lot of luck on our side this evening.
And what's your initial reaction of making it to the finals of your division?
I'm happy. I'm happy for our players because they've worked extremely hard. I'm happy for everyone who's gone through our program. So I'm happy for our coaches as well.
All right, congratulations to Phil Zelaya and the Kaiser Cats. They're moving on to the Central Division Championship game as they will face Rancho Verde or Paloma Valley. We're going to have some of those highlights a little bit later in the show, but first let's go to the scoreboard from the Central Division. And there it is. The Rancho Verde hangs on, wins a wild one at Paloma Valley, 35-28. We had Miriam Swanson. She was there covering the game for the Press Enterprise. We had our sports videographer, Damian Gallardo, there at the game. He shot plenty of video. So we're going to try to get some video tonight on the live show. As you might expect, it was a barn burner, went down to the wire late into the night. So if we can't get the video back and edited for tonight's show, you can guarantee we will have it on Saturday in the scouting report as the Rancho Verde, the defending Central Division champions, are back in the title game as they defeat Paloma Valley 35-28. And there was the other semifinal game, 13-7. Kaiser moving on to meet the Mustangs in the championship. All right, back here live in the studio. Now we're moving on to the Eastern Division. Citrus Hill taking on Tockwitz. Now, these two teams are league rivals, so they knew plenty about each other. They met again in the semifinals. Citrus Hill, the big winner earlier this season in league play, but could they do it again and beat Tockwitz when it counts and punch their ticket to the Eastern Division Championship? All right, Mike, let's roll the video from Tockwitz High School. Javier Cabrera, our guy, going all the way out to Hemet and has these highlights for us. So, early in this one, a little fumble on the play there. Tockwitz trying to take care of the rock. Ben Moreno finds Nolan Valdez here for the big gain for the Titans. Then it's Citrus Hill's turn. Quarterback Trevor Hodge to Justin Clarkston here. Nice little forearm to pick up some more yards on the end of that one. Then it's Hodge to his favorite target, K.J. Young. Hauls in the touchdown and breaks up a scoreless game as the Hawks go on top 7-0. Then later in this one, Hodge drops back, airs out the deep ball, and Donovan Lindsay will come down with it, and Citrus Hill is moving down the field, and that would set up this. That's my PJ. Over the wall, PJ Walker in for the touchdown, and Citrus Hill goes on to defeat Tockwitz 37-0, your final score. All right, back here live in the studio, so Citrus Hill is into the championship game. The other Eastern Division semifinal was Serrano taking on Beaumont. Let's check out the Eastern Division scoreboard tonight here on HS Game Time Live and find out who Citrus Hill will be taking on in the championship game. All right, the Eastern Division scoreboard has, as we mentioned, Citrus Hill moving on, 37-0 against Tockwitz. And there it is, Serrano over Carter. I think Javier is going to be joining us here in the show. So, Javier, if you can make your way into the set and talk about this game as Serrano wins 21-14 against Beaumont. So it will be Serrano and Citrus Hill playing for the Eastern Division CIF Championship. All right, back here live in the studio, Javier Cabrera, our guy at the game. We'll talk about the Kaiser Heritage game as well, but we'll start with Citrus Hill against Tockwitz. And Citrus Hill getting it done on defense. We knew they could play offense. They score a ton of points, but shutting out Tockwitz as well tonight.
Yeah, I mean, when I first got there, it was just 7 minutes in that first quarter, and Citrus Hill had a fourth down, and they ended up going for it. But then Tockwitz ended up coming with the big stop. But then they went down, and they couldn't get anything out of that. But then Citrus Hill came back, and also again on the fourth down, they went for a field goal, and they missed the field goal. But after that, they cleaned it up on offense, and it seemed like Citrus Hill had control after that second quarter when 5 minutes to go before halftime.
Well, your second favorite team behind Fontana, Beaumont, they lost tonight against Serrano. So we were hoping maybe for a Beaumont Citrus Hill championship game. But
was that last week? Beaumont?
Beaumont lost against Serrano tonight.
That was last week.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I have the score wrong do we have it right in the graphic at least?
I
don't know. Hopefully we had it right in the graphic. It was Serrano against Carter tonight. So
Carter. Yeah, we did.
It was right in the graphic?
Yeah.
Okay, it was
I don't
right
know
in the
where you got Beaumont from.
It was right in the graphic. So 21-14, Serrano's got great defense. They could score a ton of points too. So, and Carter had a great defense as well, but maybe not as much firepower on the offensive end. So it's Serrano and Citrus Hill playing for the championship game. Now let's go to Kaiser Heritage. We had a little bit of video there. You could see at the end where there was some controversy where the Heritage side thought there was a fumble on the play. The guy scooped it up and took it back for a touchdown. Kaiser was screaming, no, the guy was down already. What did you see out there?
Honestly, I did not see that play because I was busy texting you at the moment. But it seemed like he was down. I mean, the guy was already falling to the ground, and then one of the defensive players on the Heritage team, he just picked up the ball and then took off with it. But, a couple of referees were blindsided, so I didn't think they had a clear shot.
Good look at it. Yeah, so it was 13-7. It was just a 6-point game. And
yeah, that definitely, I can't judge it because I didn't see it, but it could have cost
Well,
Heritage.
Let's go even before that. Heritage had the ball in the red zone, I think, around the 20, right? And it was fourth down. They went for the end zone, and Kaiser came up with a big play. Kaiser's known for their defense. What did you think of the Cats?
Yeah, that fourth quarter, Kaiser definitely pushed up on their defense, and they had good stops. That interception that we caught on video, that was a big play for them. And then once again, fourth down. They swat the ball away, so they got that other defensive play. So, aside from that controversial call, Kaiser did hold up well on defense in that fourth quarter. And
I hate to admit this, but not a single one of us here at the Press Enterprise even gave Kaiser a chance in this one. We all picked Heritage.
I'm so surprised that Kaiser's in it.
You're a Fontana guy.
Yeah, I'm Fontana Full High Steelers, and I was pretty excited that Kaiser won because Fontana was being represented in the CIF playoffs still.
So they're going to play, we believe
Rancho Verde?
At Rancho Verde on next week. I don't know. We're trying to figure out if it's Friday or Saturday, but it's at Rancho Verde, and the other final is Serrano and Citrus Hill, and Citrus Hill getting that big win against Tockwitz, their league rival, with a shutout. Javier Cabrera just did it again. Boom.
And before I take off, my cousin John Brox is watching us right now. He didn't know who Pep was. Come on, man.
So you said, okay, exactly. We gotta lay this out. So you said, hey, you're gonna watch HS Game Time Live with Pep and I. Is that what you said?
Yeah, just giving a little promo to our show that's coming up right now. And I told all my friends, and my cousin John's like, "Who's Pep?" I was like, "Come on,
John,
man.
Serious?
You don't know who Pep Fernandez is?"
Serious? Now you know. Javier, set John straight for me, please.
For sure.
All right, Javier Cabrera, he just did it. Let's go to the East Valley Division scores, Mike. Show the people those. Rim of the World and Banning. No, that is correct. That's not a misprint. 69-20, your final score. Jacob Taylor, according to Eric Paul Johnson, who was at the game, he went up the mountain. He was all bundled up. I think he had a scarf and a beanie on. And who else? Maybe some galoshes. He says that Jacob Taylor went for 387 yards and 7 touchdowns. His 387 yards gives him the new rushing record, single-season rushing record. So huge game by Team Jacob as Rim of the World is moving on to the East Valley Division Championship game, winning 69-20. Now the other score in the East Valley Division, that was Ontario Christian taking on Harupa Hills. And let's go to that score. And it was a battle. We kept getting updates out there. And Ontario Christian hangs on, defeats Harupa Hills. Let's go back to it. 34-33, your final score. So Ontario Christian is moving on, and they will face Rim of the World for the East Valley Division Championship game. All right, real quick, at this point of the season, we still like to do the rankings, even though, obviously the CIF championship games are more important. But let's take a look at the rankings from this past week. And as we mentioned, those top three have not been budging. Carter may slip now that they lost against Serrano tonight. So Serrano is moving on. They defeated Carter in the semis. Heritage losing, Murrieta Valley, Norco. Paloma Valley could go up. Rancho Verde could go up. Paloma Valley could fall out. Kaiser could go up. Kaiser's only loss this season was the Summit, if you go back earlier this year in league play. So the Cats could be on the move. All right, back here live in the studio. We're going to take a quick break and just remind everyone that KCAL 96.7 FM is your home for the San Diego Chargers all across the Inland Empire. I join them every Monday and Wednesday and talk high school football, the Chargers as well as the NFL. And here's a sample from Wednesday as we kind of talked about the big Vista Murrieta versus Centennial matchup looming in the championship game.
96.7 KCAL Rock, Stu Tiffany, and
this guy
Jimbo.
named
We
Bob.
welcome our sports guy, also
Yeah,
the
they call-
PEs, his First Enterprises, Pep Fernandez.
Pep Fernandez, Pep Rally
What is
time!
up?
What's going on with local football? It is playoffs?
It's high school football playoffs. It's CIF semifinals. So if you win on Friday, you play for a CIF championship. In the Inland Division, which is like the big schools, it's Vista Murrieta, Centennial of Corona. They've played the last 2 years in the CIF championship game. So Vista Murrieta has Rancho Cucamonga on Friday. Centennial is taking on Upland. If they both win, they'll meet for a third straight year in the Inland Division Championship. And what more importantly, the winner of the Inland Division Championship will likely be in the running for the state championship.
Literally, I wish there was a Pep Fernandez back in my day covering the high school football.
Yeah.
Because I could have had it documented with my jumping, leaping catch and have Pep Fernandez
The
talking about
highlights,
that
right?
stuff.
Yeah, I could have done the highlights for you,
That's
Jimbo.
cool that he does it.
Talking about that one.
That one
only
catch.
highlight.
Glory days.
Here's what you have to understand is that they caught that shot for the yearbook, and
Right.
Jimbo's, to him, that's the only play that
They
happened.
staged
Yeah,
it, didn't they?
yeah.
And I also got me tackling. It says Jim Smith tackles his opponent without sympathy.
Is that what it says?
I'm gonna bring it in just to show you, Pep.
Maybe it'll
You
make it
know,
on HS Game Time.
That's right.
We should
You know.
make it on.
Oh,
Yeah.
During
Put it in the
practice,
show.
come on.
there is a Pep in my life, Tiff. This is great
We're gonna
news for
go
the
down
Empire.
to the well tonight and talk about high school.
Guess what my number was?
Oh, God.
Wait, what position did you play?
I was a monster back wing back.
You were number 8.
Good guess. I was number 11.
11, okay.
Ask me why I was number 11.
Let's see, Minnesota Viking connection?
Nope, I was so good I needed 2 number 1s. Yeah, baby! You rock, Pep!
You rock, Pep. Thank you.
Commercial break. When we come back, Chris Erkley standing by with your Vista Murrieta versus Rancho Cucamonga highlights. Stick with us here on HS Game Time Live.
My name is Gary Drysdale. Here with Luke Gorman, watching the clock, and John Costa, our sports aficionado.
Right back here live in the HS Game Time Live Lounge, the Inland Division Championship. We're all hoping to see Centennial against Vista Murrieta. The rematch will happen.
Rematch.
Yes.
Just like Holyfield Tyson, except no one bit anyone's ears off this time. It will definitely live up to the billing if we can get the performance that we had out of the Vista Murrieta defense tonight. They were probably as good as I've ever seen them, and if that Centennial machine on offense can, it'll be a collision course
It will.
for the ages. And before we talk about CIF title games, though, let's take a look at the performance by Vista Murrieta tonight against Rancho Cucamonga. Vista Murrieta was playing the host, and they would not disappoint. It would take them a little bit of time to separate themselves here. The fellows, Sua Cravens, Nick Stevens, shaking hands, making friends, but not once the game began. Curtis Bolton with the sack, having the game of his life tonight. You're going to see plenty from him in the highlights. How about on the very next play? Yet another sack from Mr. Bolton. 4 on the game for him. Now, early in the second quarter, Vista knocking on the door on offense. Stevens punches his way through for the touchdown, 7-0 Vista. More Vista D. How about it? Tyler Van Dyke and Bryce Smith. They are running after the quarterback and giving no mercy, bringing the heat. Just once again, Vista dominating on defense tonight. How about their captain on D? One of the captains, number 22, Bryce Smith, on the blitz. No mercy. Yet another sack. He's fired up along with Bolton. And how about this mid-third quarter, 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line. Rancho Cucamonga denied by the Broncos. The Broncos would have none of it tonight, not allowing Rancho Cucamonga one visit to the end zone. Broncos offense would begin to blow the game open from there. Stevens to Jamie Nunley, 14-0 now. Vista in the lead. Now in the fourth quarter, no relation to Michael Bolton, but he's about as popular with the ladies as now Curtis Bolton with his 4th sack of the game. How about it? Then Stevens to Tyler Cook for the touchdown catch early in the fourth quarter. 21-0 Vista Murrieta in the lead. Always got to have a guy named Cook around Thanksgiving. How about that? Then Phillip Jones-Ward, picks 6, cannot be taken down. Vista Murrieta in business there. The offense feeding off of the defensive domination that they put on the board tonight, as 34-0 is your final score. 8 sacks in the game for Vista Murrieta. Believe me, Nick Stevens was getting roughed up a little bit too, especially in the first half. But in the second half, Vista Murrieta defense put on a very fine show, and the offense turned up the heat a little bit. Coley Kendall fired up the troops at halftime, and we are on course for a collision course between Centennial and the Vista Murrieta Broncos.
And I love it when you have a great offense going against a great defense. And I always side with the defense, but
I got to say, well, if I was saying this on the sideline today, if I had to give an, this may fire up some people, but I'm going to throw
you're
this
going to do
out
it
there.
anyways.
If I had on an A to F scale grade each team's offense and each team's defense in the Vista Murrieta Centennial matchup, on the offensive side, I would give Centennial an A, and on the offensive side for Vista, I would probably go A-/B+. On the defensive side, I would give Vista an A, and probably Centennial, I'm going to have to say C+. Which isn't... Which could turn out to be their Achilles heel. They did allow how many points tonight to 34?
46-36 was the final
36
score.
Points for an Upland team who I understand isn't that powerful. I got to say, if Vista can keep Centennial to 28, maybe even 35, I think they have a pretty good shot. I think because they won last year and because they will be at home, you got to give Vista if we're in Vegas, maybe the 7-point advantage, but I can say it probably should be a shootout to the finish just like it was last year. And they played as well the year before that. Wasn't quite as close, but Coley Kendall should have, and Matt Logan both should have their troops ready to rock.
It should be another great game, and I'm just thinking even maybe beyond the CIF championship, which I know, CIF is as big as it gets for most teams, but you got to think of the state,
Well, if Vista Murrieta is able to beat Centennial with their undefeated record, they would still be undefeated after that game. They're a sure thing for state. Centennial would probably need a little bit of help. We understand that Mater Dei will be in the CIF game. Narbonne is in the CIF game, so it would depend a lot with what happened with those. I don't know if Long Beach Poly
beat
they won,
St. John
so
Bosco.
They're playing Mater Dei.
Yeah,
so it depends a lot on what happens on there. But Long Beach
Centennial
Poly
could. I mean, if Centennial beats Vista, they could definitely
St.
be.
Bonnie went down tonight. Long Beach Poly does have 3 losses on their record.
Yeah.
Centennial has one to a very good St. Bonnie team.
Yeah, so if Long Beach Poly won, their division. That'd be great news for Centennial if they could, defeat Vista Murrieta.
I don't think that Centennial or Vista are thinking about that right now, though. I think they're thinking about the big game that for Vista Murrieta, second year in a row they get to host the CIF game. I'm sure they're feeling pretty lucky about that. Must have rubbed the lucky rabbit's foot before that coin flip.
A lot of the same characters from last season. Nick Stevens, Sua Cravens coming back.
A
and
few
doing this
new
again.
faces on offense for Centennial, though. On the other hand, they got Mr. Weber there under center. They've got your boy. Beats by Trey in
Trey
the
Watson,
backfield. They still
Austin
have
Rankin.
Joe Wheat. They do still have Crevichet and
Pascarella.
Mr. Ware should also play.
Beware.
Beware for Barry Ware. He's gonna be an animal out there. If we, as I said it before, if we could have pay-per-view,
we could sell it out.
We could sell it out.
Maybe we should.
Maybe we should.
Pay the $200 to CIF and just do it.
Yeah.
And we'll pocket all the money.
We know all the big faces. There was like an entourage of about 100 on the sideline today. The refs were getting quite annoyed by the Vista entourage because a lot of new faces out there hopping on the bandwagon late were crowding the sideline. I think they need to start selling tickets for field access there
I think
at a higher price.
It's like everywhere you go during the playoffs. Seems like everyone's got a sideline pass and everyone's standing along the sidelines, which is kind of annoying for us
Maybe next,
and for the referees.
I was diving between people, the referees, and maybe next week it'll be like the Super Bowl.
They'll roll off the red carpet for us.
Hopefully.
Doubt it. All right, thank you, Chris. All right, let's go to the other half of that Inland Division finals to check on Centennial, they were hosting Upland tonight. Mike, let's go ahead and roll the video from the Evil Empire, as they dubbed themselves. There's Matt Logan leading the troops onto the field against the Highlanders, who defeated Redlands this past week, 28-14. First drive of the game for Centennial, Robert Weber to Devontae McNeely. Down the sideline, he goes in for the touchdown, and Centennial is on the board first, 7-zip. Then later in that opening frame, more from Centennial. They're trying to stop them on defense, but Upland's got a good quarterback in Nate Romine. He's going to hook up with Anthony Romero for the touchdown, and that evens the game at 7 apiece. Then it's Robert Weber giving it up to Austin Rankin, who goes in for the touchdown, and Centennial is on top 14-7. Then later in this one, check out Chase Cravache. Takes that pass, cuts back inside, and he will go in for the touchdown, and Centennial continues to build on their lead. Then later in this one, the interception for Centennial, that was Gavin Andrews coming up with it. And then Mequan Johnson and Jalen Johnson combining there for the big stop on the Highlanders. Now Upland in the red zone. There's John Plattenberg, not having it. Takes this one back all the way to the 15, but there was a flag, so it will come back. But the pick did count. But Upland repays the favor. Nafe Lokotui, the interception for Upland. That sets up this. Tyler Bratton gets in for the touchdown, cuts in the Centennial's lead, 22-14. And Bratton would tack on a second touchdown in the second quarter to make it a 22-21 game at the half. But Centennial would hang on by a final score of 46-36. So it will be Vista Murrieta and Centennial in the championship game at Vista Murrieta next Friday. The winner will likely be in a Southern California State playoff game, and we'll have to see how that pans out. Vista Murrieta going to their fourth straight Inland Division championship game. They did defeat Centennial last season. All right, let's check out those Inland Division scores. Mike, let's go ahead and put those up in case people are just joining us. 46-36. The final score, the Huskies win by 10 at home against the Highlanders. And let's go to the Vista Murrieta score one more time. It's Vista Murrieta 34, Rancho Cucamonga zip. So the Broncos defense coming up big, and they are moving on. So it's Vista Murrieta taking on Centennial next week for the championship game. That's next Friday for the Inland Division title, and the winner will move on to play hopefully in a state bowl game, the Southern California bowl game. Is EPJ coming in here in a second? All right, you know what? We'll join Eric in just a little bit, but we'll continue on. Let's go to the Central Division and talk about the big Kaiser Heritage game, because there was some controversy late in this game. Kaiser had the ball. They were trying to run out the clock. They thought, well, Heritage thought there was a fumble on the play. They scooped it up, took it back for what they thought was a touchdown, but it was ruled that the Kaiser player was actually already down before the ball came out, so there was no touchdown on the play. But let's go ahead and roll the video that we do have. Kaiser taking on Heritage. So, Mike, let's go ahead and roll that video from the Patriots pit, H-Town. No, let's go. Come on. There we go. To H-Town. Heritage taking on Kaiser. It was tied at 7 at the break. So we pick it up in the third quarter. That Desmond Ferreira for the Cats gets this thing going. And Kaiser was driving down the field trying to take the lead on this one. Padilla calls his own number. He drops back, tucks it in, and breaks off a big run. And that would set up this. Marquette, Washington, from about the 7 or 8 yard line, goes in for the touchdown. Kaiser would not get the extra point, but they took the lead 13-7. Heritage trying to muster up something on offense. Quarterback Matt Bradshaw gets a couple yards here on this run, but then later on that same drive, Bradshaw drops back, airs out the deep ball, but here comes Ray Vera, number 8, in a swarm of cats here. He comes up with the interception to stall that Heritage drive. And then later, Heritage facing 4th down in the red zone, goes for the paint, but Wesley Lewis breaks it up. So here's the play we're talking about now, the little bit of controversy. We didn't get all the video, but here's what we had. Kaiser had the ball, trying to run the clock. It popped loose. Heritage guy takes it back. Heritage thinks they have a touchdown. Kaiser says no, the guy was already down, and the referees rule with Kaiser, saying he was down, no touchdown. So here is the last play of the game for Heritage. They've got the ball. Marvin Hefo makes the catch, tries to make something happen here at the end. Remember, they were only down 6, so a touchdown, the extra point would win it, but it will not happen as Kaiser hangs on to win 13-7. So the Cats are moving on to the Central Division Championship game. We caught up with their head coach, Phil Zelaya, after the big win.
Can you just tell me how Kaiser pulled off the victory today?
Hey, we played together as a football team. That's what we've had to do, for 3 weeks in a row and throughout the whole football season. You got to be a little bit lucky in these type of games. I felt we had a lot of luck on our side this evening.
And what's your initial reaction of making it to the finals of your division?
I'm happy. I'm happy for our players because they've worked extremely hard. I'm happy for everyone who's gone through our program. So I'm happy for our coaches as well.
All right, so Kaiser is moving on. That Cats defense getting the job done tonight against the Patriots. Now, we are expecting Paloma Valley against the Rancho Verde Highlights. We're hoping to get them here in the live show. It will not happen, it looks like, but we'll definitely get them on the Saturday Scouting Report. So please join us back here on Saturday. We'll have complete highlights on Paloma Valley taking on the Rancho Verde. But let's go ahead and put up the Central Division scoreboard and tell you who's moving on. The Rancho Verde, 35-28. This was a wild one going back and forth all the way to the finish. Damian Gallardo, our videographer, was there, captured it all, so we will have that on Saturday. So the Rancho Verde back in the title game to defend their championship. And Kaiser moving on, knocking off Heritage 13-7, your final score in that one. All right, back here live in the studio. Let's go quickly to the Eastern Division and pick it up with Citrus Hill taking on Tuckwitz and the Hawks trying to punch their ticket to the CIF Championship game. Mike, let's roll the video from all the way out in Hemet. Javier Cabrera making the trip out there for us. Early in this one, picked this one up in the first quarter, a little fumble on the play, but Tuckwitz would recover, but not much doing otherwise. They did have a nice play here. Ben Moreno to Nolan Valdez for a couple yards. And then later, let's pick up Citrus Hill on offense. Quarterback Trevor Hodge to Justin Clarkston. He makes the catch, a nice forearm there, and picks up a couple more yards on the end of that one. And then it's Hodge now in the second quarter to KJ Young, his favorite target. Hauls it in here. Zebra's got in front of us, but Hodge is in for the touchdown, and the Hawks go up 7-0. And then it's Hodge. Plenty of time here. Hooks up with Donovan Lindsay, who comes down with it. And that would set up this. P.J. Walker going over the line on top of the wall and in. That would make it 14-0. And Citrus Hill is going on to the championship game, winning 37-0. All right, so back here live in the studio, Citrus Hill is moving on. And Mike, real quick, did we get that Serrano video? I just had to do a flash drive with the, let's go ahead and just roll it. I'm not even sure what's exactly on there, but we'll roll the video and show the Serrano versus Carter game. Our guy Luis Bueno was out there. Serrano and Carter hooking up. The winner would go on to face Citrus Hill in this one. Carter had a great defense. Serrano's got a great defense, maybe a little more firepower on offense. But we'll kind of break this game down tomorrow on the Saturday Scouting Report. But we can tell you that Serrano did go on to defeat Carter by a final score of 21-14. So it will be Carter taking on Citrus Hill for the Eastern Division Championship game. And Mike, let's just come over here live in the studio because we're going to move on to the East Valley Division now, where Rim of the World is moving on in a big way. Wow, up on the mountain. Tell us about that, EPJ.
Yeah, I mean, not too surprising. I mean, the final score, definitely kind of look at that. I think going into the year, a lot of people thought Rim, Ontario Christian were the two best teams in this division. Rim had the hiccup, losing the back-to-back games to Citrus Valley and Banning. But they came out and kind of showed what they do extremely well, and that is just pound the ball. And, Jacob Taylor, with just an amazing first half tonight, just to roll past David Dotson's, season rushing record today. So Rim definitely looking good with a lot of confidence, being able to avenge a loss to Banning in a huge way.
Now, did Sty also break the record? Did they each break it?
No, Sty was about 150 yards short. He was actually pretty much bottled up all night. He did have a 96-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, and late in the first half, he did break a 97-yard touchdown run. But take away the 97-yard touchdown run, he only had 38 yards on 18 carries.
Wow.
So Rim's defense was pretty strong tonight and also forced 7 turnovers. 2 picks apiece by Baber Edwards and Sty Hairston, and Hairston also fumbled 3 times.
So what do you think, Rim of the World, maybe they saw Banning the first time and knew how to prepare for them defensively? Or, what do you think?
Yeah, they said that, they made quite a few adjustments, just giving different looks and, just wanted, Hairston to have to, instead of just being able to sprint upfield, you look at the one touchdown he had, it was a quick snap, and he just went right through it. I was like, longest quarterback sneak you might ever see ever. But most of the time when they went to their normal offense and that shotgun, they made Hairston kind of really string things out until they could get someone else out there, and did a great job. And then, of course, Rim doing the same thing, but Banning couldn't make the adjustments. They weren't getting lined up in the right spots. And, Taylor had over 300 yards in the first half. So
amazing. So based on what they did tonight against Banning, is Rim the favorite maybe against Ontario Christian in the finals?
Yeah, it's tough to tell. Harupa Hills is a much improved team from what they were at the beginning of the year. But you got to think Harupa Hills took Ontario Christian to overtime this year, and Rim beat Harupa Hills 44-0 this year. So it's going to be one of those. It's going to be a great battle. I like Rim in this game mainly because it's going to be at Rim, and I just think right now there's a lot of motivation going on. Obviously, with a lot of preseason drama that surrounded the coach being fired and then brought back. I think the players and that coaching staff are extremely motivated to win this one. And very special moment for Coach Bob Gurdias. This will be Rim's first trip to the finals since 1976, and he was the quarterback on that team. So,
oh wow, full circle.
So 36 years ago, and yep, he was the leader of that team, and now getting Rim back to the finals as a coach.
So now Jacob Taylor shatters David Dotson's single season rushing mark, and he still has at least one more game to add on to that. How high? What do you think the mark will end at?
Yeah, that's kind of what I wrote is you tell Jacob Taylor about all these records he has. He's now the San Bernardino County's career rushing leader. He's, 8th game this year with at least 300 yards. He's the single season rushing record holder, and it doesn't matter to him. It's like, I think what matters is like he's got another game to add to that. So he's going to go into that final game with 3,728 yards. So it's already the second highest rushing total in state history. I don't think he'll catch Tyler Ebell, who had over 4,400 yards one year, but he's gonna probably hit 4,000 yards this year in one season. That's
incredible.
Yeah, and to think he would only be the second one in state history to do it. So, and Sty Hairston, a great season as well, finished close to 3,400 yards rushing.
That's great for virtually an unknown who all of a sudden just popped onto the scene.
Right.
Out there at Banning. All right, thank you, EPJ. We appreciate it. So that is the East Valley Division. Mike, let's go ahead and do the East Valley Division scoreboard and check out those scores. That's the Eastern. Let's go to the East Valley with Rim of the World. And let's go to one more. There we go. Banning, Rim of the World, 69-20, your final score. So the Fighting Scots get it done with some mountain ball up there. 69-20, as you mentioned, as you heard from EPJ Taylor, 387, 7 touchdowns. A lot of the damage coming in the first half. And the other score, Ontario Christian and Harupa Hills. And I believe this one went to overtime, I want to say. 34-33, Harupa Hills nearly knocking off the top seed in the East Valley Division, but just a point short. So it's Ontario Christian taking on Rim of the World at Rim of the World next Friday for the East Valley Division Championship game. All right, back here live in the studio. Chris Erkley will join us in just a moment as we kind of recap the Inland Division Championship game as our semifinals as we move forward to the championship game as Centennial and Vista Murrieta will meet once again, the sequel, the rematch for the CIF Championship. So Chris will have the Vista highlights. We will also kind of preview that game just a little bit and show you who will be playing in the championship games next Friday and Saturday. So Centennial and Vista Murrieta will be on Friday. Serrano against Citrus Hill in the Eastern Division Championship game will also be Friday. Ontario Christian at Rim of the World is also a Friday game for the East Valley Division Championship. And there is one Saturday. It's Kaiser at the Rancho Verde. That is the Central Division Championship game. So there are 4 championship games that we're taking a look at here on HS Game Time Live. 3 of those next Friday, 1 on Saturday. And you can bet tomorrow on the Saturday Scouting Report. We'll kind of break it down and tell you which, some of the matchups we're looking forward to in the CIF Championship Finals. All right, we will be right back. Here's a new Anchorman skit in case you missed it last week. Hurry, everyone. Come see how good I look.
Ronaldo, Pep Fernandez is out this week. He's taking his family on a trip to Ridgecrest to watch Carter against the Burros.
Oh, yes, founded by Jeff Steinberg in 1821. He then moved his family to Miller before settling at Santiago.
Ronaldo, can you fill in for Pep and be host of HS Game Time Live?
Does Rancho Christian have a football team? Oh, that was a bad choice. Yes, I would love to fill in for Pep. He is one of the greatest broadcasters of our generation, a true Inland Empire treasure. But you have to give the people what they want. That's me on High School Gamma Team.
Sorry, it's still HS Game Time.
So let's talk playoffs because I am a playoff expert. I've got a really good feeling about Summit. So Banning is trying some guy named Sty Hairston at quarterback. He's never even played quarterback. Sounds like a disaster.
He's actually scored almost 50 touchdowns this season.
Really? Because I think you're making that up. Speaking of quarterbacks, my friend and true gentleman, Josh Martin, is now playing receiver at Beaumont. And the new Cougars quarterback is Jacob Ulibarri. Ulibarri? Ulibarri. Just Game Time Lounge.
Halfway there.
Yeah, a little transparency here. Are we okay, Mike? I'm going to lean forward real quick. Well, I think we're still on. I think people can still hear us.
Is he at the driver's seat over there?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's hurry and get to the highlights.
Oh, here we are. Here we are.
There it goes away. So that was the Anchorman. Maybe the Anchorman just blew up our system back there. But Chris was at the Vista Murrieta versus Rancho Cucamonga collision. And, man, the Broncos defense coming up big time.
Broncos defense, we've seen them put on quite a few strong performances over the last few years, but tonight that would definitely be their creme de la creme A game, and pretty much when it matters most, the semifinal CIF game. Let's roll to the highlights. They would dominate from the start. They would do a few handshakes, but after that, it would be all business. How about Curtis Bolton? Game of his life tonight. I think he was definitely a fan, or had some fan favorites out there tonight. And then Mr. Bolton once again coming up big for the Vista D. Early in the second quarter, Vista knocking on the door. It's Stevens punching his way through for the touchdown. A 7-0 Vista. How about some more from the Vista D? This time it's the duo Tyler Van Dyke and Bryce Smith bringing the heat. No mercy for the Rancho Cucamonga quarterback tonight. And then how about it, Bryce Smith? He's one of the captains on D. He knows when to take care of business on the blitz. There you go. Yet another sack for Bryce Smith, his second of the night. And how about this? Mid-third quarter, 4th and 1 from the 1 yard line for Cucamonga. they would be denied by the Broncos, and the Bronco Nation on the sideline is going crazy. Broncos offense would begin to blow the game open from there. Stevens to Jamie Nunley for the 14-0 Vista lead late in the third quarter. No known relation to Michael Bolton, but now he's about to be as popular with the ladies. Curtis Bolton, once again, his 4th sack of the game. How about that? Almost as good as Alden Smith of the Niners. Then Stevens to Tyler Cook for the touchdown catch. Early in the fourth quarter, 21-0 now. Vista beginning to take this one under control. Then Philip Jones Ward with the pick 6. Good night. He cannot be stopped, not denied. He finds his way to the end zone. 28-0 Vista at the time. They would win the game by a final of 34-0 to come up with the donut in a game of that caliber is definitely impressive.
Gave them a taste of their own medicine because Rancho Cucamonga had a great
Cucamonga,
defense.
we understand, have 5 Division I players on defense, and Vista Murrieta looked like vintage Baltimore Ravens, maybe, could we say, tonight.
With a better offense.
Really,
Baltimore
yeah, they don't have Trent Dilfer at quarterback. They got Nick Stevens, and some may say that was maybe their best and finest defensive performance, definitely of the season, maybe the best I'd say. I've been watching them quite a few times over the last 2 years, but definitely a fine performance. And one key thing to note is, of those 8 sacks that Vista Murrieta had tonight, I don't think Sua Cravens, Mr. Superstar, had any of them. So to see
who was the guy that he had like 4? Bolton, you said?
Oh, yeah, Bolton. I haven't called his name in any of the highlights all year long, so I don't know. Maybe he ate his Wheaties before the game tonight, but he came to play, that's for sure. But to see the team being that dominant, Sua did have a couple he got his hand on a few punts, but he didn't really have any super major plays, really. Bryce Smith and Bolton were the ones that were coming up big on the defensive side. And, of course, Philip Jones Ward with that pick 6. But to see the Vista come together collectively on defense and without Sua really stealing too much of the show, that speaks volumes about the depth that they have on the defensive side of the ball.
A lot of great players. And, Chris, before you go, you want to send a shout-out to the great Aaron Ruth out there?
Oh, yeah, Aaron Ruth. We heard before the game he had to go right here to Riverside to the Kaiser Hospital for emergency surgery for a hernia that he was actually had a problem with right before the game. We know he's the kicker, the big-time kicker for Vista Murrieta. We understand from his father, Kurt Ruth, that he's was about to go into surgery. That was about an hour ago. We hope the best for him, and obviously I highly doubt he will be able to play in the game next week, but definitely the Broncos, I'm sure, will be pulling for him definitely when they match up with Centennial next week.
Yeah, and what's scary is this Centennial game with
could
Vista
come down
Murrieta.
to a big kick. Vista
said
Murrieta
yeah.
did not attempt a field goal. They did have one option. They've had their punter. They had him as the emergency kicker, and
Did
he
they
also
do extra
kicked the field.
points?
They did do extra points. They had a situation where they could have gone for about a 40-yard field goal. They passed on it, had Stevens go for it on 4th down. Stevens didn't get it. He got roughed up quite a bit with his running game. They were definitely being stingy with the Vista Murrieta running game tonight, but I'm sure that they would love to have Ruth in there, but I doubt, unless it's the greatest doctor of all time, that after going through hernia surgery that you would be able to find any doctor in the United States of America to clear you for a football game the next week.
Well, Vista will have to make it all the way to the state championship
There
game
you go.
and let
Maybe.
Aaron kick. All right, thank you, Chris. We're going to get Dennis Pope into the studio in just a moment. He was at the Centennial game. He'll break that down. But first, Mike, let's roll the Inland title game from 2011. This was Vista Murrieta taking on Centennial for the championship. There was Matt Logan in his shorts. It was cold that night. I was there. I had a huge parka on. And Coach Logan made me look like a sissy wearing the shorts and the long sleeve. But this was like inside the final minute of the game. Vista Murrieta was trailing by 1. Nick Stevens went in for the go-ahead touchdown. So Vista Murrieta took the lead 35-28, and that's how it would end as the Broncos hoisted the CIF championship, winning in dramatic fashion on their home field against the Huskies. So this will be their 4th straight trip to the CIF championship game this season, and they will once again battle Centennial for the title. All right, Mike, let's come back here live in the HS Game Time Live Lounge. Dennis Pope covered the Centennial Upland game. We were hanging out a little bit out there. And when I left, I was getting a little worried because Upland started to make a little charge after some Centennial miscues.
Right, there was a couple of interceptions thrown by Centennial's Robert Weber. He threw 2 on back-to-back possessions, on back-to-back plays, actually, to give Upland new life there. And they scored on both those turnovers to make it 22-21 going into halftime. And then they actually took the lead there in the third quarter for a bit after there was an interception on Upland's first drive. Centennial got a field goal to make it 25-21, and then Upland they got a 55-yard screen to actually take the lead. I think it was 28-25 at one point, and then after that, Centennial found their groove again and kind of just took off from there.
Just made them angry.
Yeah, actually, they were angry. Upland sideline, that was as big a visiting team sideline and as rowdy and angry as I've seen all season. Granted, it is the semifinals, and there's a lot on the line, you know, especially for Upland to lose twice in a row in semifinals.
So Upland went up 28-25. Does that sound right? With 7 points?
That sounds right. Yeah.
28-25 on Centennial. Was that play silent? Upland side just going nuts?
Upland side was going nuts. And Centennial was kind of like, you know, what just happened. There wasn't a whole lot of surprise, really. I think they expected a really good Upland team, and maybe after getting out to such a wide margin to start the game, you know, maybe they thought differently for a moment, thought they were going to run away with it again, another game, another huge victory. But, you know, Weber kind of let them back in the game, and they took advantage, and, you know, they made the most of it for a time.
Yeah, I think we all were picking Centennial to win this one, even though Upland was, you know, I think 12-0 or something. I mean, they were having a great season in a tough baseline league. Yeah. So, but Centennial's they're just loaded on offense.
Yeah, they can do it so many different ways. They give the ball to Trey Watson most of the time tonight, although Austin Rankin has some really good runs. He's really low to the ground. He can do an awesome spin move that's just amazing to break away from tackles. He had a touchdown early in the game. But mostly it seemed like tonight Centennial was going to the short passing game, the screens, the little bubble screens out to Chase Crivachet, you know, and spreading it wider, getting it to the outs to Ryan Pascarella and Barry Ware out on the outside. They didn't really pass the ball up the field too much after Weber started throwing those 2 picks, although those were his only 2 picks. Yeah, they didn't really go upfield anymore at that point.
So Centennial is moving on, winning 46-36 against Upland. They'll see Vista Murrieta in the championship game once again. Vista Murrieta looking dominant against Rancho Cucamonga tonight. It was 34-zip. So based on what you saw of Centennial tonight, I mean, I think a lot of people are leaning towards Vista Murrieta because they are undefeated. They are the defending champions. They are maybe one of the hottest teams right now, especially on defense. Yeah. I mean, what does Centennial have to do right next Friday to knock off the Broncos?
Well, definitely, you know, Weber can't try and force balls in there if Centennial happens to take a lead, you know, to try and get a huge lead. I think they just need to play their game. At one point, you know, we said to each other, you know, this Centennial team looks, you know, fantastic. Can Vista really beat them? There was doubt for a minute, and then Upland came back and then showed maybe Centennial's got, you know, a couple of chinks in the arbor, and maybe that is just mistakes that they, you know, force upon themselves. I don't think there's anything that really teams have done to Centennial so far this year to take away from what Centennial does. It's whatever Centennial can't do, or, you know, when they do make the mental miscue or the physical error, you know, that maybe gives another team new life. But other than St. Bonaventure in week 1, you know, no team's been able to take advantage of anything Centennial's been able to do. So,
what did Huskies head coach Matt Logan have to say after the game? Was he satisfied with the win, or a little, you know, discouraged, or how did he kind of see it?
You know, he saw the interceptions as things not going Centennial's way, and those are pretty much his words verbatim. But after that, he said, you know, once we got into halftime and we talked about what it is that we wanted to stick with, you know, it's our game to win or lose. And I think that's their philosophy. I mean, and most teams carry that philosophy, but, you know, it's what we do, you know, not what other teams do to us.
Yeah.
Actually, Coach Logan's and I's interview was interrupted by like a weird Upland photographer guy who was shouting obscenities in our direction while I was trying to do the interview. Yeah, it was bizarre. Yeah, he was real keep it classy, Logan, you know, like you're this and you're the bleep.
For what?
And that.
I mean,
sore losers. It's tough to take. People are really passionate out there. So
especially when you play a team like Centennial, and you're trying so hard, and it seems like they just move the ball at will. They just impose their will on offense on you.
Yeah.
They can just turn it on.
And that's the fact. If Centennial does impose its will on teams, and Upland, the last time they played Centennial, 2010, it was also the same sort of game, a back and forth game until Centennial took advantage. It hasn't been. I think now this is more than 10 years since Upland's beat Centennial. They've only played each other like 3 or 4 times in the last 12, 14, 15 years, but it's been a long time for Upland.
So how excited are you for the Centennial Vista rematch? I mean, everyone wanted to see it. Now we're going to get it.
Right. It sounds like an amazing thing. Just a ton of athletes go out there and watch them play. There's going to be some, big hits probably and some big plays. I'll probably be watching it on TV. So
you're not going to join us out there? Come on.
Who knows? Who knows what could happen? So,
all right, yes. So Centennial versus Vista Murrieta, the rematch this next Friday, a week from tonight.
Are you looking for my pick already? Is that what you're looking for?
If you want to toss it out there, I wouldn't shoot it down.
It's at Vista.
It's at Vista.
Right.
Vista won 34 zip against Rancho Cucamonga tonight.
I'm going to go out on a limb right now, and I'm going to say Centennial wins this game.
And why? Because of the offense?
Because of the offense. They just do the same thing over and over and over again, and nobody's stopped them yet. So we'll see if Vista's that team that can finally stop them, other than St. Bonnie's earlier this year.
Now, maybe this is a cop-out because I use this for a lot of games, but the higher the score, the better for Centennial. The lower the score, the better for Vista Murrieta, because they can get it done with defense and special teams. And if they try to get into a shootout with Centennial, I mean, that's probably what Centennial wants. Let's get this game in the 40s, close to 50, and that's our game. We'll go back and forth with you all night long. But if Vista Murrieta is making stops on defense where touchdowns are going to be at a premium.
And I also think special teams will be important in a game like that, too. Centennial special teams, with Rigo Pena, he kicks solid on field goals. Every kickoff's a touchback. So field position and special teams will probably play a big factor too. And Sue Cravens, he blocked 2 punts tonight.
Yeah,
that's unreal. Who blocks 2 punts in one game?
The guy's nuts. I mean, he really is. And they've got a lot of guys. I mean, if you look at Vista Murrieta's scoring summary over the course of the season, you'll look, and they score a lot of touchdowns on offense, obviously, but defense, a lot of pick sixes, special teams block punts into touchdowns. I mean, they score touchdowns in every facet of the game.
Yeah, I'd love to see. I have yet to see actually Sue Cravens play live. I hate to admit that.
And that's why you got to go next Friday.
Yeah,
man.
I know, right? Let's see what happens.
Yeah. All right, Dennis, you just did it again. There it is. Dennis Pope.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, let's go ahead and take a look at the championship games for the divisions that we're taking a look at. There's the Inland Division Championship one more time. Vista Murrieta taking on Centennial. The Broncos looking to cap off a perfect season and maybe probably head to the Southern California State Bowl game. So that is the Inland Division Championship. Mike, just let it roll through because it will go to the next championship game on here, which would be the Central Division Championship. The Rancho Verde taking on Kaiser. I think Mike picked Kaiser in this one, didn't you, Mike? I think he's the only one that picked the Cats. Eastern Division Championship, Citrus Hill taking on Serrano. A battle of undefeated teams. That'll be a great game. Citrus Hill with a great offense. Serrano, from what we hear, has a great defense. Haven't seen a lot of them yet. And in the East Valley Division Championship, Rim of the World taking on Ontario Christian. That game will be up in Lake Arrowhead, so the Fightin' Scots will invite the top seed up to their place. And you heard from EPJ, he feels like Rim of the World is the team to beat, the favorite in the CIF Finals in that one. All right, back here live in the studio. So there's your championship games. We are told that the Central Division Championship, Kaiser playing at the Rancho Verde next Saturday. The other games are all Friday matchups. Citrus Hill will host, Vista Murrieta will host, and Rim of the World will host next Friday. All right, we will have even more highlights on Saturday, so please come back on Saturday afternoon and join us for the Saturday Scouting Report as we break down all of the CIF semifinals, and we'll get you set for the championship games next Friday and Saturday. From everyone here at HS Game Time, I am Pep Fernandez, and we'll do it again next Friday with HS Game Time Live. Thanks for watching.